I am a passenger. I am moving through your dreams. All your dreams. And you never knew.
How's it going, guys? Welcome to what we know about Netflix's The Sandman series so far. As you can tell from the title, I've been wanting to make this video for the longest time. It's just for the longest time. We haven't had too many details about this, but as we are getting very, very, very close to production now, there are quite a few details out there about the Sandman series. And honestly, guys, this is a series that I'm very much so looking forward to. I know as a comic book audience on this channel primarily, there's going to be a lot of you who are watching this video, or maybe newcomers to the channel who are looking forward to this series and may want to know all the tidbits about casting potentially, production, details, how many episodes, just more or less every little tidbit that we know so far about the upcoming The Sandman series. And of course, I'll be covering on the channel, so go ahead and like this video if you do go on to enjoy it. But let's first of all take into account those who actually don't even know who or what the Sandman series graphic novel is even about and what the show's premise is going to be. So very briefly, for those of you who don't know, The Sandman is a comic book series written by Neil Gaiman, published by DC Comics, and it was, and well, still is to this very day, a huge deal. Like, it was a New York Times bestseller and just a major player for Vertigo Comics back in the day. And the story centers around the character Dream, who is one of the 7 Endless. Now, what is an Endless? Some of you may be wondering. Well, Dream, along with the other Endless, such as Death, Destiny, Desire, Despair, Delirium, and Destruction, are, let's just say, very old. We're talking billions of years old, and they are more or less this embodiment of powerful forces, and they've essentially existed since the dawn of time, and are referred to being amongst the most powerful beings in existence. So Dream, also known as Morpheus, but also a bunch of other names due to the longevity of his existence, is the protagonist of the Sandman series. But obviously, all the Endless play very important roles. Now, he is essentially the lord and personification of all dreams and stories, all that is really just not in reality. Now, he resides in this castle in his realm known as the Dreaming, and his appearance is visually perceived differently depending on who it is looking at him, although, usually he's this tall and thin, very kind of pale white-skinned person with black hair with 2 stars in the place of his eyes. Now, the Sandman story picks up with Morpheus being captured and held prisoner for 70 years due to an occult ritual. Now, after eventually escaping, he wants vengeance upon his captors, but honestly, the whole story goes much further than that. Obviously, with the wide scope of lore, the Endless, everything I just kind of aforementioned, and during his 70 years of even being a prisoner, his realm had fallen into quite a state, and just, yeah, there's a bunch to go off of here. As for the synopsis from Netflix on The Sandman, it is as follows: a rich blend of modern myth and dark fantasy in which contemporary fiction, historical drama, and legend are seamlessly interwoven. The Sandman follows the people and places affected by Morpheus, the Dream King, as he mends the cosmic and human mistakes he's made during his vast existence. Now, most recently at DC Fandom, Neil Gaiman ensures that the Sandman will be very faithful to the comics. And when being asked about cast details and just what he can tell us at DC Fandom, Neil Gaiman himself said, "I can tell you that due to COVID, as with every other piece of television being made around the world right now, somebody pushed a giant pause button. And we've taken advantage of our pause button to just try and get the scripts as close to perfect as we possibly could, which has been really fun. Now, right now, as the universal pause button is starting to come off, we're starting to cast again. I'm getting these inspiring and wonderful emails with production designs, with places that I've only ever seen in the comics before, now being rendered in 3D, and I'm being asked to comment on it, and that's amazing. Now, there's not a lot I can say. Something that I will say is part of the joy of doing the audio adaptation this is going to be the nearest thing we can do to an audiobook of those first 3 graphic novels, and hopefully all of the graphic novels. And we're going to start it in 1988, and it's going to end in about 1991 or 1992. Sandman is a very compressed story, even though it takes place all through time and space. I mean, that's where the story takes place. Now, what we're doing with Netflix is saying, okay, it's still going to start in 1916, but the thing that happens in Sandman 1, the point the story starts, is not 1988, it's now. And how does that change the story? What does that give us? And what does that make us have to look at that we wouldn't have had to look at if we were setting it as a period piece? What is that going to do to the gender of characters? What is that going to do to the nature of characters? And what is that going to do to the story? And that has been an absolute delight, because it means we're always being true to the story and true to the characters, but it gives us tremendous freedom to go, okay, if we're doing it now, what would Sandman be? And that, again, is very liberating. Now, honestly, just hearing Neil Gaiman talk about all of that is very exciting, especially to, I'm sure, a lot of fans out there. And obviously, it's being very, very true to the comics, but with changes in terms of that it's being set in present day. I'm not going to get into a bunch of speculation here, because this is more or less a factual kind of, what we know so far. However, I'm just guessing that Morpheus will be held prisoner more than 70 years. So it starts in the original setting of 1916. However, he will probably escape in present day, rather than just 70 years later. Now, Preludes and Nocturnes is the first volume of The Sandman, and it covers the first 8 issues. And with Netflix's The Sandman series, it will be covering that first volume, and believe it or not, some of Volume 2, The Doll's House. But as for future seasons, of which I'm sure this show will get, just due to the whole prestige of all of it, it has 10 volumes overall, so giving it potential for quite a few seasons ahead. Quite a few. Now, when is it coming to Netflix though? Neil Gaiman did say and confirmed that the series would be coming at some time in 2021, but obviously due to the virus and with production delays, it's most likely going to be in the late fall of 2021, so maybe like November or something. But personally, I really wouldn't be surprised if it's delayed even further until possibly early 2022. This is just, subject to change, because if it still can make it for very, very late fall of 2021, which should still be happening, these days productions are still getting delayed. For example, The Batman's resumed production, but just 4 days later, the main star himself, Robert Pattinson, got the virus. So this could just happen easily with any TV or movie production in the next year. So let's hope for a November-ish release date, but I wouldn't be surprised, as I said, if it's January or February, just to leave a little bit more breathing room for everything and every piece of the puzzle to fall in place exactly as it should. Now, supposedly, according to reports, that the first season will be comprised of 11 one-hour episodes. So Neil himself actually tweeted out in July that it would indeed be 11 episodes in season 1, and it would consist of Preludes and Nocturnes, the first graphic novel, and a little bit more. So, a little bit of volume 2 as well, as we already went over. And there was no actual information from him on the length of the episodes, but, just going off what I feel like it will have with those 11 episodes and Netflix, it's probably likely that those reports of the 1-hour episodes will be a thing. So probably 55 minutes to an hour is most likely. And as far as production beginning as well, Neil Gaiman did tweet out himself not so long ago, it's starting to feel real. We begin shooting in 3 weeks, lockdowns permitting, #Sandman, on Netflix, and he attached a little photo of the script, saying locations, exteriors, the space between universes, and yeah, guys, it is happening very, very soon. So just a little plug here, make sure you do subscribe, because updates will be coming out in the near future, and I will be covering all of them. Now, just before we get onto the casting call information, many fans have actually asked me before if Lucifer would be making an appearance, since Lucifer and the Sandman are in the whole same universe, and he even makes an appearance in Volume 1, Preludes and Nocturnes, of which Season 1, as we've already been over, is based on, and often people ask if Tom Ellis himself himself would be that Lucifer for Netflix's Sandman series, since Neil Gaiman confirmed that Netflix's The Sandman would indeed, as we already know, be in modern day. So technically, yeah, I do see how that could indeed happen. And also, where did Lucifer move from? Well, it literally went from Amazon to Netflix, so it could indeed actually happen. But I am more inclined to believe that it would be a recast, despite how perfect Tom Ellis is as Lucifer. We all know, by the way, that this Lucifer series is very much so different. It's a very, very loose adaptation from the Lucifer comic book series. However, they could bend it a bit and still keep Tom Ellis in the Sandman series and obviously maintain all the story points that Lucifer has in the Sandman. Yet again, though, it is important to stress that Lucifer is ending. Maybe Tom Ellis might not even want to reprise his role, not even in a cameo-esque sort of sense. Also, if Netflix's The Sandman series is very faithful to the comic books, but also a little bit different with new opportunities being set in present day, maybe they do just want to recast. Maybe they want to get a blonde-haired Lucifer instead of the Tom Ellis one, but this one is a bit murky. I just have a little bit of an intuitive feeling that they might recast, but it still isn't confirmed. But it would be weird if they didn't actually show Lucifer in Netflix's The Sandman. Now, as for the cast members of the Sandman series, most recently, as of September 2020, Tom Sturridge is being eyed reportedly for the role of Dream. And to be fair, I do see it. Now, I haven't actually seen him in anything since like The Boat That Rocked, and I don't believe he has been up to too much. Maybe he has, feel free to let me know, but in terms of my eyes, I haven't seen him in anything, to be honest, but he does very much so look the part, but we're gonna have to wait and see. By now, I'm sure it would have been behind the scenes confirmed who is who, especially as shooting does begin very, very, very soon. As for the actual casting calls and descriptions of the characters, according to what's on Netflix.com, and this is being recycled in quite a few places, apparently thank you to Daniel Richman from his Patreon, and you may have heard him with quite a few scoops before on multiple different things. They have learned the roles that Netflix will be hoping to fill, and they've quoted a whole bunch of descriptions on this page, so I'm going to be reading out from there. If you are very familiar with The Sandman, you've read it, or even if you've listened to it, these descriptions should be very, very familiar to you. So, The Sandman, Morpheus, Dream, required lead male, age 26 to 36, the titular Sandman, Lord of Dreams and Keeper of the Realm of the Dreaming, late 20s, early 30s, ghostly, rail thin, because dreams are the inspiration for all life and creation. Morpheus sees governing them as a grave responsibility. He is an honorable, principled being, but he can be a bit obsessive about his duties and is ruthless when displeased. Dream's obsessiveness can leave him out of touch with humanity, as he sees human beings as mere engines for dreams, an arrogant god who eventually learns that he must change or die. Up next is the Corinthian, lead male, 26 to 36, supernaturally handsome. The Corinthian exudes style, sex, wit, and predatory wrongness. A nightmare come to life, but one you can't keep your eyes off, embodies humanity's darkest, most sadistic, homicidal impulses when they are not bound by compassion, empathy, and love. Originally created by Dream, the Corinthian is determined to thwart his maker at every turn. Ethel Cripps, recurring female, 18 to 28, a street-smart woman who masterfully leverages her beauty to manipulate men and get what she wants, a self-survival expert who knows when to flatter, barter, or steal based on what best suits her interests. Fascinated by magic and the power it holds, the pursuit of the occult sets Ethel on an unexpected and not necessarily auspicious path. Alex Burgess, recurring male, 16 to 26, bookish yet handsome. Alex is eager to please his tyrannical father, but does not possess his cult of personality. A self-conscious young man who is questioning his sexuality, Alex represses thinking about what he wants for his own life in order to continue to serve his family's legacy. Now, Death, potential cast member to be announced, required, recurring female, 18 to 25, Dream's oldest sister, optimistic, caring, and empathetic. Death takes her job seriously and tries to be a friend to those she shepherds to the afterlife. She's every bit the big sister towards Dream, acting as his occasional confidant and unafraid to point out his foibles. As for Anna, recurring female, 30 to 35, ethnicity any, beautiful but tough as nails, Anna is not afraid to tussle with criminals and psychopaths while wearing Louboutins. She doesn't take crap from anyone. Anna has a history of keeping herself at arm's length from people who could grow to love her. She is mouthy and self-destructive, yet fiercely brave. As for Roderick Burgess, or Burgess, guest star male, 50 to 65, ethnicity white. Roderick Burgess is a self-proclaimed sorcerer and prophet. He is the founder of the Order of Ancient Mysteries, which promises self-actualization through the occult for a price. In truth, there is nothing magical about Roderick. He's a fraud, but an energetic, intensely charismatic one. A narcissist, he relishes encounters with much younger women and the accumulation of wealth and treasure. Wounded by the untimely loss of his eldest son, Roderick treats his youngest son, Alex, with cruelty and disregard. And I believe, guys, that is just about everything in terms of what we know so far about the upcoming The Sandman series on Netflix. So, as for my closing thoughts, pick it up for yourself if you haven't read it, or even if you aren't much of a reader. Well, that's kind of very handy because it is a fantastically amazing introduction into this world through the audiobook that came out not too long ago. I would love to know what you're most looking forward to about the upcoming Netflix The Sandman series. It's got to be really, really great. I'm sure that I bet the budget for this is going to be absolutely insane, just giving off all the set pieces and effects they will have to do. If you enjoyed this video, guys, I'd really appreciate a like on it. Make sure you subscribe if you're brand new to the channel to stay up to date with any updates we get, because, well, as Neil Gaiman said himself, shooting only starts in a few weeks, so there's going to be quite a few updates over the next several months. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the dreaming.